Silver is breaking out to new all-time highs. The stock market is starting to recover, and whales are buying the dip for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets. This signals that the bull market is not over. I want to break down what is happening, who's buying, and much more. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, let's take a look at the price of silver. I know this is a crypto podcast, but one of the things I've been sharing with you all for years is that we have been in a macro bull market for all assets. We've seen gold have its day in the sun, the stock market, real estate, of course, and crypto, right? And I know some of you are going to say, but crypto has been in a correction recently, but you got to zoom out. We got to look at when this bull market started, which was in January 2023, and where Bitcoin is now. It ran up significantly, and we've seen the stock market run up significantly, and it's all following global liquidity. Remember, assets are moving to higher highs because of the debasement of currency. Right. So we've talked about global liquidity many times on this podcast. So silver crossed a new high of $55 today. And even right now, it is over $56. So you look at the chart, new all-time highs. Now, what did we see a few months back is that gold made new all-time highs. Now, it corrected since then. It's on its way up. I don't know if this is a retracement move or this is a continuation of the bull market, but the fact that silver is having its day in the sun signals a rotation of liquidity. You look at the S&P 500 and it is showing a V-shaped recovery here. It hasn't cracked all-time highs yet, but it is seeing a recovery and it's moving away from the oversold zone. And we've been tracking Bitcoin, of course. Bitcoin is moving away from the oversold zone. On the daily chart, the bulls are back in control, but we still got work to do here, right? We can't celebrate this because we need to see strength. Many analysts are calling for a local top of $105,000 by the end of the year, but we're going to have to wait and see how this market plays out. There are two scenarios here: a dead cat bounce relief rally, like maybe what we're starting to see here, then a rollover to lower lows, or this is the start of the continuation of the bull market. I know many of us want certainties, we want absolutes, but unfortunately, when it comes to investing, we have to look at probabilities, different scenarios, right? So the fact that silver is doing its thing, the stock market, and much more is very good for the continuation of the macro bull market, and crypto will have its turn. So I think, once again, guys, this is more evidence that things are still moving in the right direction here for us, despite all the volatility, despite the fear, the shakeouts, and much more. And further confirmation of this is we are seeing different signals highlighting that whales and institutional investors are buying. For example, Coinbase's Bitcoin Premium Index has flipped green. It has been in red since near the end of October, after the big leverage flush out we saw in October. So US institutions are buying again. And look at this, we have some more supporting data here. Bitwise data shows institutional Bitcoin demand continues to dramatically exceed the new supply, widening the imbalance through 2024 and into 2025. So the amount of Bitcoin being mined, there's more demand. The demand outweighs the supply of new Bitcoin. So that's a very good sign. And here, BlackRock continues to buy Bitcoin for their Bitcoin ETF. So despite the outflows we saw for a few weeks, we are now seeing consecutive days of inflows. So they're buying the dip, right? This is how smart money operates. When the market's down and everybody's in fear and the herd is in fear, the smart money does the opposite. And they've been buying, the most recent buy was 477 Bitcoin. So clearly institutions are bullish while retail is fearful. Here's another example. Tom Lee's Bitmine has bought $44 million worth of Ethereum. So they are, of course, a digital asset treasury that specifically focuses on Ethereum. So the data came in from Arkham Intelligence, and they said on Thursday specifically, Bitmine purchased 14,618 Ethereum. So on-chain data is showing us the purchasing and giving us confirmation here, right? Plus, we have the macro factors of the Fed ending quantitative tightening on Monday, December 1st. So that means more liquidity is going to enter into assets and into the market. Plus, they're going to continue to cut rates. So that means capital is going to get cheaper. So we can't ignore those factors. And yes, there are bearish scenarios on the charts. I'm not ignoring that. I just think on the scale of bull and bear, I think the macro is just setting us up for a bullish continuation of this market despite the short-term pain, guys. And we're going to have to be patient to see how it plays out. Obviously, there's no guarantees here. And some of you may not like that, but this is the world of investing. So welcome to investing. We are taking our bets. I do believe, though, as I've been saying, from the macro, even if the short term is bearish, I'm very bullish because as long as central banks keep printing money, asset prices will keep going up. So the short term volatility, regardless of what causes it or what it is, regardless of the massive dump we saw on October 10th and the leverage flush out and whatever manipulation, in the macro, that's not going to matter because as long as central banks keep printing money, we're going to see asset prices keep going up. So I hope you guys understand. And I think confirmation from silver going up here is a good sign, folks. Very good sign. And let's see what gold continues to do. It's not far from its all-time high. Let's see. We'll continue to watch the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and so forth, which are seeing a bit of a V-shaped recovery here. But we, of course, want to see them go to new all-time highs and Bitcoin and the crypto market follow, which historically they have. Now they can lag. One can lag behind the other. So we're going to have to be patient. And maybe it's time to step away and touch grass, right? Now, I recently bought the dips for some altcoins like XRP and Solana and so forth. Not financial advice. You don't have to follow me. But anytime I see the market in extreme fear, like it was for the past month or so, that's always a great time to buy. Once again, not financial advice. You don't have to follow me. Do your own research. But I think many of you understand market principles by now, right? You do the opposite of the herd. Everybody's bearish. It's over. Bear market, yada, yada. And even if we're seeing a relief rally, it's still an opportunity to make money. So you buy the extreme fear and then you sell the pump, right? That you don't buy into green candles. You buy into fear and blood on the streets and you sell into green candles. So hope you guys understand that. Now, this episode is brought to you by VeChain, which is one of the top layer one blockchains out there, folks, getting adoption from many brands and companies across the globe, building different Web3 and decentralized applications. I'm a VET token holder. I have been since 2018, so I'm very bullish on this project. VeChain has 5 million plus users, active users, 350 applications built, 624,000 weekly sustainable actions, and they were founded in 2015. They are partnered with Dana White and the UFC, and Dana White, in fact, announced earlier this year that he bought $1 million of the VET token. So VeChain has been around for a long time, and they're working with many big brands, and they also offer staking via Stargate, so you can stake the VET token. And they're working with many brands such as BMW, Walmart China, PwC, and much more. And some of the great features about the VeChain blockchain, folks, is that it's scalable, secure, fast, compliant, and purpose-led. So great project. And they're doing some really great things with rewards tokens like the VBetter token and much more. And actually today, guys, there was some very interesting news that came out from VeChain. The Hayabusa security assessment is in, they said, and the results are excellent. This assessment was done by Halburn Security, and I actually interviewed the CEO of Halburn recently. So it's great that these blockchains are having these security analysis and assessments done because we know security is so important with blockchain. So this is a big win here for VeChain. And Halburn says, we're proud to announce we have successfully completed our Hayabusa core upgrade security assessment for VeChain. And they said VeChain is a blockchain-powered network that transforms everyday positive actions into verifiable, tradable digital assets. So really great news. So folks, if you'd like to learn more about VeChain, go to vchain.org. Link will be in the description. Now, folks, look at this news. Animoca brands to focus on stablecoin RWA in 2026 amid U.S. IPO efforts. Many of you may have seen my interview with Yat Su, the founder and CEO of Animoca Brands. They are really big in Hong Kong. They're a massive crypto investment firm. They've been doing a lot of things, investing in the Web3 gaming sector and different aspects of the crypto market. And they are looking to do a US listing, public listing. So again, if these companies like Kraken, Animoca Brands, Securitize are looking to do IPOs, no one does an IPO in a bear market, guys, right? So again, more macro signals here highlighting that this market is expected to continue into 2026. So Animoca's CSO, Kayvon Paymani, told CNBC that it will focus on expanding its stablecoin and RWA initiatives in 2026. Animoca is planning to go public on the NASDAQ next year through a reverse merger with Singapore-based fintech AI solutions firm Currency Group. Very interesting. So again, multiple factors here. They're expanding to stablecoins and RWA, and they're looking to go public in the US. Look at this. The UK widens crypto reporting rules to cover domestic transactions. Now, the UK has been a bit weird about their regulations of crypto. It hasn't been that great, but it looks like there is dialogue and progress being made, fine-tuning happening to some of their rules. But, this is what we're seeing globally, guys. Countries are embracing crypto, regulating it. They're going to tax it, but they're not banning it, and they're going to allow it to flourish. So the United Kingdom will require domestic crypto platforms to report all transactions from UK resident users starting in 2026, expanding the scope of the crypto asset reporting framework. The change will give His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, the UK's tax authority, automated access to both domestic and cross-border crypto data for the first time, tightening tax compliance ahead of the crypto asset reporting framework's first global information exchange in 2027. So clearly, this is your run-of-the-mill standard practice, right? They want to track everything, tax you. Look, we can't avoid it, right? This is what it's happening here in the United States, obviously. So it is what it is. But once again, the embracing of crypto, not banning it, just regulating it. Now look at this. Crypto exchange Kucoin's European arm wins a Mica license in Austria. So crypto exchanges and different crypto platforms are expanding globally, getting their licenses. It's a race. Game theory is playing out here. No one wants to get left behind. So everybody's putting their stake in the ground, trying to expand their market share. So the European arm of crypto exchange Kucoin has won licensing in Austria. Mica came into effect last year, allowing crypto companies to obtain license in an individual markets and then passport its services across the rest of the EEA. Kucoin reveals its Mica licensing only days after the exchange registered with Australia's financial intelligence agency, Austrac, allowing it to offer crypto exchange services legally in the country. So, guys, this is really great to see these companies continue to build. There's mergers and acquisitions happening, companies planning to go public, they're getting their licenses, expanding globally, and much more. Now, look at this. Brazil's economic center, Sao Paulo, to pilot blockchain-based microloans for farmers. I love news like this because I send it to the skeptics, right, who I know anti-crypto, anti-blockchain, and I send it to them, hey, have a read, and then come back to me with any questions you have. Because education is so important. A lot of people still don't understand what this technology is about, and they don't understand the benefits. So Brazilian fintech firm 10C, if I'm saying that right, is launching a government-backed blockchain project to offer microloans to small-scale rural producers in Sao Paulo with a mobile app and physical payment machines. The project uses a blockchain infrastructure built in 10C's technology, which allows for predictable transaction fees and reliability rather than depending on public blockchains like Ethereum or Solana. The microloan program backed by Sao Paulo city government offers up to $2,800 in fast loans and is expected to go live next month following a successful pilot project in the town of Santo Antonio da Alegria, if I'm saying that right. Now, it looks like they're trying to bypass public blockchains, but what we've seen, it doesn't work. the liquidities on the public blockchains. But so many times these firms end up learning, okay, we're going to have to bridge there, so they can have their private permission blockchain. That's fine. Many banks and companies here in the United States are doing that, the TradFi companies, but they got to bridge over, right? JP Morgan is an example. So I think eventually they will have to do this, but let's see. There will be permission in private blockchains. That is something that's going to exist here. However, again, you got to bridge to the public blockchains. Look at this. Uzbekistan greenlights stablecoins for payments under new sandbox regime. Folks, crypto is a global asset class. It's inevitable. All these countries have to launch their stablecoins. As we've been talking about for years, the future economies, markets, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. So Uzbekistan is moving to bring stablecoins into its formal payment system, starting with a tightly controlled developmental sandbox, according to local media. According to a Friday report by local news outlet Kun, if I'm saying that right, Uzbekistan's new stablecoin regulatory framework will come into force on January 1st, 2026. The new law, signed on Thursday, establishes a regulatory sandbox under the purview of the National Agency for Prospective Projects, together with the central bank. So what we're seeing, many jurisdictions and countries around the globe, their central banks and their governments all working on a stablecoin or digital deposit token or a CBDC, right? We are seeing those things being built. And they're using different blockchains, but we know that there will eventually have to be interoperability between all these currencies. I think when all of this is set up by these different countries and all running some sort of blockchain power token, this is going to change the FX markets completely, right? And you're going to have 24/7 markets, instant settlement, instant interoperability, atomic settlement, and things like that. So that's the world we're headed to. And you're seeing the infrastructure being built here, and even from countries which you wouldn't necessarily think would be involved. But I think many of them are trying to get ahead of the curve. Many of them have gotten their marching orders from the IMF, from the folks at Davos, right? Every year, the world leaders meet at Davos in January, right? The BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, we've seen all these folks flip the script saying, yeah, you can't stop this. It's inevitable. We got to build. And they're all doing it. So this is the future, my friends. So pilot projects are expected to be implemented to develop a stablecoin-based payment system operating on distributed ledger technology. Starting next year, Uzbekistan-based entities will be allowed to issue tokenized shares and bonds, and a separate trading platform will be created on licensed stock exchanges for these assets. Folks, do you see where we're headed? It's incredible what's being built out here. And look at this one. I honestly have not heard of this country, Turkmenistan. I don't know. Maybe I don't, for some reason, don't remember this country. But Turkmenistan legalizes crypto trading under tight state control from 2026. This is wild, man. Some of these countries, once again, I've not heard of. So, according to a November 28th report from local news outlet Business Turkmenistan, President Serdar, oh my gosh, I can't pronounce his last name, Berdimuhamedov or something like that, signed a law regulating the crypto industry. The new law, which will come into force in 2026, establishes licensing, know your client, anti-money laundering, and cold storage requirements for crypto exchanges and custodial services, and prohibits credit institutions from providing crypto services. The state can also stop, void, and force a refund of token issuances. Wow. The law requires registration for cryptocurrency mining and mining pool operations and bans covert operations. It also states the country's central bank can authorize distributed ledgers or run its own, potentially forcing citizens onto permissioned, surveilled infrastructure. Wow. Guys, the dominoes are falling around the globe. This type of news is not making big headlines on CNN, Fox, or whatever. But clearly the infrastructure is being set up here for the token economy, right? Your fiat currencies, your assets all tokenized on the blockchain, and every country will participate. Even if they don't issue their own, they will be using other people's currencies and or tokenized assets, right? So that is where things are headed to. So that's why I am bullish from the macro perspective, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, despite the short-term volatility and painful situations we're experiencing here, right? But when it comes to investing, you got to have the macro outlook, guys. So let me know what you think, folks, about this news. Pretty incredible stuff. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Folks, a great way to support the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. And folks, we have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal going on where you can get 40% off the price. And of course, you get lifetime access. You simply have to use the code THINK, capital THINK, at checkout. So once again, capital THINK, think, at checkout to get that 40% off. Go to mycryptocourse.com. Link will be in the description. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.